We're going to go to Twitter. What do I have up on Twitter? The James March. Okay, I'm going to post all the links there afterwards. I'm just looking at my notes, which is... here we go. Let's share this one. People, you all heard the news that Jagmeet Singh and the NDP have announced, I don't know if the technical word is a coalition government, but they are going to work with Justin Trudeau from here until 2025. Wait until we get into this, the absolute shameless, bold-faced hypocrisy of an individual now saying, I am literally going to work with the individual who I literally publicly accused of rigging the system, divisive, un-Canadian discourse, and a slew of other insults that preclude anyone from actually later saying, maybe they're not so bad. The only reason Jagmeet Singh is now saying maybe Justin Trudeau's not so bad is because he sees that proverbial ring. And he's like, why shouldn't I have this ring? Why shouldn't I keep it? When I ran for office, this is a true story. For anyone who's been around the channel for long enough, you know this. I ran for federal office for the People's Party of Canada in Westmount, NDG. I said I would run for the country before I ran from the country because I was going to put my voice out there once and for all and try to cure the problem before, making my life decisions as a result, consequently. But when I ran for office, this is a true story. I ran in Westmount NDG, but Westmount, notoriously liberal. The riding itself, notoriously liberal. 53% voted for Marc Garneau of the Liberal Party. That's 53% of Westmount NDG, and it's worth noting Westmount has, I think, the highest GDP of any municipality in Canada. If that might explain a few things. 53% voted Liberal. When I was running and I was going door to door to try to get signatures, it was a tedious thing to try to get signatures because people would say, I don't like the PPC. I was told they're racists, misogynists, xenophobe, and whatever. They said, I'm voting for the NDP out of protest. And I said to them in real time, if you are voting for the NDP out of protest, you're not protest voting the way you think you're protest voting. You are voting for an entity which is by and large a variation of what you're protesting against, except maybe less corrupt, only because they haven't actually had the position to be in power to be corrupt. When I ran for office last federal election, many people in my riding told me that they were voting NDP out of protest because they hated Justin Trudeau and Liberal Party. I told them they were just voting for an equally awful Trudeau variant, which I kind of like that Trudeau variant. Might even be trendable. Today, I can formally say, I told you so. Because today, or yesterday, I think it was this morning, they had a press conference. But bottom line, Jagmeet Singh has decided that the Liberal government and Justin Trudeau are people trustworthy enough that they can work with. They're people who they share sufficiently similar values that they can work together now until 2025. Jagmeet Singh says Justin Trudeau is someone who he can work with, that they can work together and they can be effectively a single entity. That's Jagmeet Singh, who had some interesting things to say about Justin Trudeau, one of which was, I've just been like, let me, how do I get back to my feed here? Let me go back to my feed. Not Jagmeet Singh's feed. Let's just go the Viva Fry. Is that going to bring me to my feed? Yeah, there we go. I said that it might be time for people to go screen grab things that Jagmeet Singh. It's about time for everyone to go and screen grab all of the tweets in which Jagmeet Singh accuses Justin Trudeau of corruption, incompetence, lack of ethics, divisiveness, etc. You are who you support, and it seems Jagmeet Singh has become the corruption of which he complained. And I mean, let's just give a few examples, because I Googled and then stopped. Parliament, this is from, when is this from? June 7. So that's going to be, I don't know, 8 months ago. Parliament has passed by motion calling on Justin Trudeau to stop taking Indigenous kids and residential school survivors to court. The vote was 267-0. Liberal cabinet refused to vote yes. Let's appreciate what Jagmeet Singh is saying right here. The Liberal government do not care about Indigenous people. So much so that they would fight their right to sue. I don't care that since this tweet occurred, the Liberal hypocrite government announced the largest settlement with the Indigenous community in the history of Canada, $40 billion, I think, to compensate for the historical wrongs that the government has committed against Indigenous people. Forget that part. Just appreciate what Jagmeet Singh is saying of Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau didn't even bother to show up. He lacks ethics. He lacks principles. He's a coward and he's immoral. And I'm just paraphrasing. Let's go to another one. No, what did I do here? Hold on. Let's just go to another one. Let's just get a few of the gems. A few of the gems. There were so many. It's just unbelievable. This is also from Jagmeet Singh. Justin Trudeau is cutting help. When is this one from? Just so we don't. Yeah, this is from October. Justin Trudeau is cutting help for people in the middle of the fourth wave. While money continues to flow to megacorps, families and workers struggle to make ends meet. So Justin Trudeau is hurting the middle class. I'd say Jagmeet Singh is as well. He's a bad man. That's not the worst one. This one is from 2019. I'm sure Justin Trudeau has changed. It's even more clear now that Justin Trudeau is more interested in helping his wealthy and well-connected friends at the expense of Canadians. Plus ça change, plus ça reste le même. My God, I just screwed that up. Plus ça change, plus ça reste le même. The more things change, the more they stay the same. It's even more clear now that Justin Trudeau is more interested in helping his wealthy and well-connected friends at the expense of Canadians. People expect government to actually work for us instead of serving the interests of the rich and powerful. Well, guess what member of a club you are now officially part of, Jagmeet? This one's the best one. This is from 2020. Justin Trudeau's comments are dangerous and irresponsible. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, according to Jagmeet Singh, his comments are dangerous and irresponsible. First, he said it was up to the provinces. Now he says the onus is on Indigenous peoples and the police. Echoing Andrew, he is dangerous and irresponsible. And now, here's another good one. This one's from more recent, 2021, February. Justin Trudeau just voted no to pharmacare. Liberals just chose big pharma over Canadians again, because it's happened before. They broke a promise for the 24th consecutive year. My goodness, you know what you should really do, Jagmeet Singh? You should go ahead and work with this government. You should team up with them, because right now I'm going to believe that you're going to change this as opposed to actually join this hashtag sarcasm. Millions can't afford their medications and we can help them, but the Liberals blocked it. I'm appalled. I'm so appalled. I'm going to go work with them. I'm going to go promise that they stay in power until 2025. And recall, by the way, that this is the same Jagmeet Singh who, in the context of the debate on Justin Trudeau's unconstitutional invocation of the Emergencies Act, Jagmeet Singh, in his speech in which he ultimately voted for the Emergencies Act invocation, said, the government has been incompetent, has mismanaged this entire pandemic, has mismanaged this entire protest. So let's go ahead and give them these unbridled emergencies powers. Let's go ahead and do that. Because that's always what you do to an incompetent, corrupt, immoral, dangerous government. You give them Emergencies Act powers. You know what it is? It's not that Jagmeet Singh has any faith in Trudeau. It's that he is probably, if I'm throwing out my own humble opinion, hashtag no defamation, he is no better, maybe worse, but we just don't know yet, equally corrupt, equally immoral, equally divisive. Jagmeet Singh telling Justin Trudeau that he says divisive and irresponsible things. The Jagmeet Singh getting out there and saying, if you oppose mask mandates, you're selfish, right-wing extremist, and then getting caught not wearing a face mask a week later. Hypocrites, corrupt, lying hypocrites. And all that Jagmeet Singh sees right now, his only way to stay in power, and Justin Trudeau's only way to stay in power, is to avoid another election. And the only way to stay in power right now is for these two equally immoral, corrupt politicians to join forces, because they know darn well they are loathed by the people. And the only way to hold on to their power and to try to consolidate their power is to work together, because that is actually, if this were a movie, that is actually what the evil forces do. Consolidate their evil forces so they can continue to hold on to these unprecedented powers, continue to, cling to that ring to the detriment of all of Canada. Oh yeah, let's not to mention that small connection. Jagmeet Singh. You know what? Let's just so that nobody thinks that we're actually not telling the truth here. Hold on, people. It's actually shocking. It's just shocking. Let me just go to Google. Yes, people. Now nobody in the chat can say go use DuckDuckGo. Yep. It's all equally corrupt. You just have to know what to do and where to go for the respective corruption. Let's share this. Let me make sure that we can see this. Just wait, people. Just wait. If you don't already know this, but I suspect for the most part, everybody watching this channel already knows this. Watch this. Jagmeet Singh, World Economic Forum. Look at that. weforum.org. Let's just go. Jagmeet Singh was born in I will reject your cookies, good WEF. Jagmeet Singh was born in Scarborough, Ontario, and spent time growing up on Canada's east coast before moving back to southern Ontario. As a kid, he often felt on the margins and left out. That made him more determined to be himself. Who wrote this? Grade sixer? That's why he grew up to defend the rights of others, to be seen and heard for themselves. Yeah, he defended the rights of others to be seen and heard for themselves, except not seen, and cover their faces and cover their mouths. And if they say that I don't necessarily want to do this to my body, to brand them as right-wing, selfish extremists who don't care about community and yada, yada, yada. And then he did it himself, by the way. Hashtag confession to projection. Jagmeet went to law school to stack his toolbox to fight the powerful forces of poverty and racism. As a lawyer, he knew he could help those with little power and money to assert their own rights. He campaigned with anti-poverty groups and immigration and refugee organizations and it goes on. That's just one of the reasons why he wants to help others. Okay. As a leader of the Canada's NDP, Jagmeet believes that how we pay for and deliver services to Canadians must work for everyone, but especially for the government. But that's not where it ends, people. That's not where it ends. Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau is on the World Economic Forum. Justin Trudeau, born December 25, 1971, is Canada's 23rd Prime Minister. Justin's vision. What are these? What are they on the website for? Why is the World Economic Forum featuring them? I'm going to figure this out in a second. The oldest of three boys, Justin grew up with the profound influence of his father, Pierre Elliott, and his mother, Margaret Trudeau. He was raised speaking both French and English and has family roots in both Eastern and Western Canada. The background helped spark his passion for public service and shaped his conviction that diversity is Canada's strength. Anybody who says diversity is our strength, I'm going to go ahead and say is weaponizing it, and either they do believe it or they believe in weaponizing it, because you don't need to say these things. Like certain things, when you have to say like diversity is good, it means that there's a part of your brain that thinks that you have to say that so that people know that you believe that diversity is good. And when you have to say these things, it usually is a me thinks he doth protesteth too much type affirmation. In my humble lived experience, he studied literature at McGill University, graduating with a BA in 1994. He went on to complete the University of British Columbia's education program and spent several years teaching French, math, and other subjects in Vancouver. Teaching allowed him to make a positive impact on the lives. All right. That's by the way, that's his experience. I mean, I don't judge it because teaching is a worthwhile venture. I do think no one should be allowed to serve in politics without a certain either training or knowledge of economics and small business, because having run my own small boutique litigation law firm for a little while, I can tell you that unless you have had experience with the paperwork, as we say, paperasse, that the government imposes on small businesses, you might not be able to govern in a way that would actually factor in the burdensome, back-breaking paper, what's the word, bureaucracies that government regulation creates. Oh, you don't smell good anymore. He's not bad. He just smells like a wet carpet. But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there, people. Chrystia Freeland, World Economic Forum, WEF. The Honorable Freeland is the Deputy Minister of Finance. Ms. Freeland was first elected as a member of the Parliament of Toronto. I mean, and here we go. She was awarded Freedom House's Mark Palmer Prize in recognition of her years of work in championing democracy and human rights. She is a member of the Forum's Board of Trustees. That's odd. How curious. Who other? Let's see. Members of Canadian. I can't. Parliament. Yeah, I know how to spell people. I know how to spell. My fingers are not working. Rona Ambrose. Who's Rona Ambrose? Leader of the official opposition, Parliament of Canada. Rona Ambrose, PC MP MA. But why do we have so many politicians on the World Economic Forum website? What's her? Okay, so yeah. But by the way, fair game, conservative, official opposition. Excuse me while I throw up in my mouth a bit. Who else? Who else, people? Government, Canada government, World Economic Forum. What? I mean, this is new for me, by the way. This is new for me. Young global leaders. This is the first time I've actually surfed this website. Okay, I don't know who these people are. Okay, interesting. I don't like clubs. But let's continue the exploration, shall we? Justin Trudeau, who's Navit Bains? Member of Parliament, Parliament of Canada. And just a bio on the World Economic Forum? What is going on here? Okay, I think we got the picture, people. Let me just get back to the stream. Let me just go revisit the chat. It's been a while since I've seen this. Viva, please watch War Campaign's clip about the WEF talk about projecting influence. Well, I've seen the now infamous viral clip of Klaus Schwab talking about having infiltrated Parliament. We have many of the members of the Canadian Parliament who are young leaders of the World Economic Forum. And I'm not making fun to make fun. I actually kind of, look, I can do a good German accent, and it's also fun to do a good German accent. Yeah, this is, so who knew this? Anyhow, go and explore on your own. But Jagmeet Singh, congratulations. You have now officially been in government long enough to have become the enemy. And you have joined the enemy because you have identified the enemy. And you have now publicly stated that you are joining alliances with the enemy, which doesn't make the enemy good. It now makes you the enemy, the political enemy. Because there's no other way. There is no other way to wrap your head around that. You don't change evil. You only become a part of it. You don't change intolerant, dangerous, offensive politicians by joining them. You just become one yourself. So welcome to the club. It's not a club that I want to be part of.